Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you could join me. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most exciting and, let's be honest, complex challenges in our industry, opening a brand new hotel. It's an incredibly high-stakes process where success is built on months and months of careful planning and precision. So let's break down what it really takes to get it right. The launch of a new hotel, it can really go one of two very different ways. On one hand, you've got a story of flawless execution, a real celebration. And on the other, well, it's a story of chaos, delays, and costs that just spiral out of control. The stakes on opening day really couldn't be any higher.
So let's really look at this contrast. A successful opening, that's the dream, right? It's that triumphant ribbon-cutting ceremony. Everything is perfectly on time and right on budget. But the alternative, that's a genuine nightmare scenario. We're talking about a delayed opening that just bleeds money, plagued by one missed deadline after another, and costs that just keep climbing. So this brings us to the most important question of all. What's the fundamental difference here? What's the secret that separates that triumphant launch from an absolute costly disaster? Well, the answer lies in a discipline known as the critical path. And I want you to think of this as more than just a plan. It's the actual architecture of a successful opening. It's the foundational framework that holds the entire massive project together. Okay, so what is it exactly? The critical path is the longest chain of dependent tasks, tasks that directly impact the project's finish date. And here's the thing you absolutely have to understand. If any single task on this specific path slips by even one day, the entire opening date moves with it. There is literally zero room for error. This whole process requires what I like to call surgical precision. It's not just some long to-do list. It's about creating an unbreakable chain, where every single step is logically and seamlessly connected to the one right after it. And this is a perfect illustration of that connection. Let's just walk through this sequence. You can't possibly train your front desk staff on the hotel's property management system if that system hasn't even been installed yet, right? And you certainly can't install that critical IT system if the server room doesn't have the proper climate control, the HVAC, installed first. Each step is a non-negotiable prerequisite for the next one. Now, it's really important to get this. Not all tasks are created equal. The ones on that main path are your critical tasks. They have absolutely zero flexibility. They form the spine of the project. But you also have what we call floating tasks. These have a little bit of a buffer, some float, and they can be delayed slightly without derailing the whole grand opening. Knowing the difference between the two is key. So how do you even build this path? Well, you start with the end in mind. The entire process is structured as a T-minus countdown, working your way backward from the day your very first guest is scheduled to walk through those doors. This timeline shows you how it all unfolds. Typically, this whole cycle begins about 12 to 18 months out. That's when you're focused on the heavy lifting, concrete, steel, the structural integrity of the building. But look at what happens around the T-minus 6-month mark. The focus makes this huge, fundamental shift from construction to hospitality, from brand positioning and marketing to crafting that perfect guest experience. It's a really fascinating journey from a building site to a welcoming hotel. Of course, a path like this doesn't just manage itself. It needs a leader with a very specific kind of mindset. And this is exactly where the general manager becomes the central figure in the entire operation. And this is the perfect way to think about it. The general manager's role is to be the conductor of a very complex orchestra. Every single department, engineering, housekeeping, marketing, you name it, is its own section. And the GM's job is to make sure they all play in perfect harmony. So, what does this conductor actually do? Well, they have to maintain a constant bird's-eye view of the entire roadmap. They're making sure all those dependencies flow logically, so the HVAC team isn't working on top of the people laying the carpet. They have to adjust for the, let's call it the inevitable friction of real-world problems. And most importantly, they keep the entire team laser-focused on hitting those primary milestones that unlock the next phase of the project. As you all move forward in your careers, it's so important to understand that the critical path is much more than just a project management tool you learn about in a classroom. It's a professional discipline. It's a mindset that truly defines an effective hospitality leader. And this right here is the ultimate takeaway. You see, almost anyone can manage the construction of a building. But mastering this path, well, that is what allows you to launch a truly world-class hospitality experience, where every single detail is perfect from the moment the doors open. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. When your opening day arrives, and it will, which story are you going to write? Will you be on the path of chaos or the path of triumph? As we've seen today, that choice begins with mastering the critical path.